Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is January 22nd. We're on day 2 today of a continuation talking about recipes that developed because of or directly or indirectly because of warfare. That's an interesting idea. We had 3 recipes for you yesterday, or 3 descriptions of food, and today we have 3 more.
好，昨天我们已经看过3种这个战争美食，今天我们还要再看3种。那我们这个文章是昨天的第2部分，文章的中文标题是战争美食点点名。
Okay, I'll read through these 3 recipes, and then we'll go back to explain each and every sentence. Gimbap. It turns out that budae, jjigae, and taco rice weren't the only combinations of Eastern and Western food that developed in Korea and Okinawa due to historical military events. Resembling sushi, gimbap or kimbap is a popular Korean food that features cooked rice and meat, fish, egg, or other ingredients wrapped in dried seaweed. In one story of how this food originated, it was introduced to Koreans during Japan's occupation of that nation between 1910 and 1945. Here's a second recipe, Goya Champuru with Spam. This next food creation, Okinawa's Goya Champuru with Spam, is another example where a long-established Asian cuisine is combined with Western ingredients. While Goya Champuru has been enjoyed for centuries in Okinawa, it was the introduction of U.S. soldiers during the Second World War that led to the addition of the ham-like processed food known as Spam to the stir-fry of bitter melon, tofu, and vegetables. Following Japan's defeat in World War II, meat was scarce in the country, and Americans handed out cans of Spam to help the Japanese. This started a food trend that continues today. Woolton Pie. The final dish that we'll look at today has no roots in Asia, nor is it the result of a mix of 2 cultures. However, it is definitely a wartime food that was created out of necessity and hardship. Woolton Pie features vegetables such as potatoes, carrots, and turnips, and is cooked in a thick sauce with rolled oats. It is a nutritious vegetarian recipe introduced by Britain's Ministry of Food in 1941, when the war with Germany made meat difficult to get. The dish is named after Lord Woolton, who made it popular when he became the Minister of Food.
So, we have Gimbap here, or Gimbap. It turns out that budae, jjigae, and taco rice weren't the only combinations of Eastern and Western food that developed in Korea and Okinawa due to historical military events. So, we have another Korean wartime food for you here, basically.
It turns out, 那类似我们中文讲原来是怎样怎样啊，或者结果怎样怎样怎样，就是 to be discovered to be the truth 啊，或者 to be discovered to be something 啊，所以就是我们后来发现，原来呢这个部队锅啊跟这个塔可饭呢不是 the only combinations of Eastern and Western food 啊，不是唯一的中式跟或者是东方，不是中式，东方跟西方的食物的结合啊，他们2个不是唯一的啊。那而且这样的东方跟西方食物的结合是 developed in Korea and Okinawa， 是在韩国还有冲绳所发展出来这种中西方食物的结合啊，而且这种结合是因为 due to historical military events， 是因为历史上的一些军事的一些活动、军事的事件、军事原因等等的啊。所以换句话说，他只是要告诉你说，除了我们前面讲的那个部队锅跟塔可饭之外，现在还有另外一个也是东西方食物的结合啊，在这个韩国或者在冲绳 因为历史上的军事原因所结合的。
Resembling sushi, Gimbap or Gimbap is a popular Korean food that features cooked rice and meat, fish, egg, or other ingredients wrapped in dried seaweed. I can see why it resembles sushi. Sushi are those rolls. It's a roll of food that is then cut, and you could roll it on your plate if you liked, but the outer covering is dry seaweed, and all kinds of things could be put first cooked or mostly cooked, and then put inside the roll and then cut. Most of us have had sushi at one time or another, so maybe we could think of Gimbap as a Korean sushi.
好，所以呢，前面讲到说这个韩国、日本都提到了，所以我们现在看看这地方原来搞了半天啊，跟韩国跟日本都有关系。他说 resembling 就是跟什么很相像，这是个分词。好，这主词就是后面这个 Gimbap， 那它跟什么很像呢？它跟 sushi 很像啊。那这个地方 Gimbap 也或者是 Gimbap 都可以啊，都有可能啊。那这个韩文我也不懂啊，所以我们大概就照它英文这样来念。那这个东西呢，中文就是海苔饭卷啊。那这个东西呢是很受欢迎的一种韩国的食物啊。That featured 它的主要的特色是 cooked rice， 就是米饭，还有呢 meat 肉 ，fish 鱼 ，egg 蛋啊，还有其他的 ingredients 其他的这个食材，那都是 wrapped in dry seaweed， 用干的海苔把它包起来，就是像，所以这个部分像日本的 sushi 啊，但是呢，这个它里面的包的东西又是非常韩式。
So in one story of how this food originated, it was introduced to Koreans during Japan's occupation of that nation. So if somebody is occupying your nation, it means that they are standing there with their military saying, we're in charge now. And that happened between 1910 and 1945. The other thing, though, about Gimbap is that it's a very portable food. Like, you can definitely carry this with you for a while. It's a travel food. So that also makes sense for why it would become popular during this time of disruption and upheaval.
Yeah, portable 哈，就是可以很便于携带的，因为这种食物很容易带在身上哈。好，所以我们看到说他在讲到说有一个one story 就有一个版本的故事哈，是关于什么的故事呢？关于这个 how this food originated 这个食物是怎么起源的故事。其中之一有一个故事啊，是这么说的。他说呢，这个食物 was introduced to Koreans， 就是这个它这种海苔饭卷呢是被带入、被介绍给韩国人啊，是在什么时候呢？是在日本人的这个 occupation of that nation， 在日本占据韩国的那段期间啊，这就是1910年到1945年之间，这个东西传入了韩国啊。所以中文讲传入，英文可以说 it was introduced to Koreans.
Okay, our second recipe for today is called Goya Champuru with Spam.
Yeah, well, the Chinese 顺便跟各位讲一讲午餐肉山苦瓜炒什锦。
That doesn't sound like a good translation, but anyway.
It sounds delicious, though.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this next food creation, Okinawa's Goya Champuru with Spam, is another example where a long-established Asian cuisine is combined with Western ingredients. We just described one earlier today and one yesterday as well, a combo, C-O-M-B-O, a combination between a popular Okinawan food and Spam. I don't know if Spam is considered a popular American food in America
it's
anymore.
A popular poverty food.
Yes, that's true.
It's definitely something you saw in school kitchens and military kitchens.
Well, it's easy to carry around.
It lasts forever. You can buy it in bulk.
And for many people, it's actually quite delicious. But if you can get fresh meat, of course, that's much better. Anyway, long established just means long term, for a long time, Asian cuisine. And then Western ingredients were added into Korean or in some cases Japanese food because of the 20th century wars where the United States got involved in many other countries around the world during wartime.
好，所以 this next food creation 我们下一个这个就创造出来的食物那这冲绳的 Goya Champuru with spam 那这个就是又是一个混合。那 Goya Champuru 这 Goya 日文吧它就是苦瓜的意思。那 Champuru 这个稍微去查了一下，它是冲绳的方言那它的意思大概就是一个混合物的意思所以混在一起的。所以这个东西呢，在跟那个 spam， 我们刚刚上次有看到过spam 就是罐装的肉的这个我们在这里好像翻成午餐肉。那这个东西呢是另外一个 example where a long established Asian cuisine long established 就是已经存在很久的，已经创立很久的亚洲的美食 is combined with 跟什么混合呢？跟 Western ingredients 跟西方的食材做的混合。
So while Goya Champuru has been enjoyed for centuries in Okinawa, it was the introduction of U.S. soldiers during the Second World War that led to the addition of the ham-like processed food known as spam to the stir-fry of bitter melon, tofu, and vegetables. So I love this description of spam as a ham-like processed food because that is accurate. It's not really ham. It purports to be ham, but is not. And it's a processed food. It's basically bits of pig that's been spiced and cooked and shoved into a square can.
好，所以我们看到他说 while 这 Goya Champuru 就是这个山苦瓜炒什锦呢 has been enjoyed for centuries in Okinawa 这个在冲绳的这个东西山苦瓜炒什锦大家已经吃的很喜欢吃已经好几百年了。好，那所以呢，这是一方面，这是日本原来这就是所谓的 long established Asian cuisine。那西方的 Western ingredients 就是他说 it was the introduction of U.S. soldiers。这个 introduction of U.S. soldiers 其实就是引入美国的军人，也就是美国军人来到冲绳的意思所以 it was the introduction of U.S. soldiers。是在二次大战的时候呢，这个美军来到了冲绳，这样的一件事情呢 that led to 导致了 the addition of the 就导致我们加入了什么东西，加入了这个他刚刚 Angela 讲说这个地方用这个 ham-like processed food 来形容 spam 非常的好，因为它 spam 呢，它是这种罐头的这个肉，你打开来看起来好像是火腿一样但它其实不是火腿，那它是一个 processed food 它是经过处理的食物所以等于说就到了二次大战的时候，美军来到了冲绳呢，才把这个spam 加到了冲绳已经吃了几百年的这个 stir fry of bitter melon, tofu and vegetables。 stir fry 就是炒，所以这个本来这个炒什锦嘛所以山苦瓜炒什锦本来炒的就是苦瓜这个 bitter melon还有豆腐，还有这个一些蔬菜，所以换句话说，本来的这个山苦瓜炒什锦现在加入了 spam。
Following Japan's defeat in World War II, that was August 1945, meat was scarce in the country. And we learned that that was also true in Europe. And probably anytime a serious war is fought, food is not easily available. And Americans handed out cans of spam. It was just described as it has a particular shape, and SPAM. You can find it in any supermarket in the United States. It's in a can, and this would help the Japanese, whether in Okinawa or on the larger islands to the north, the main islands in the north. Spam was welcome. It was something to eat, and it did have some nutrition.
Yeah. 所以呢，这个 following 在这个什么之后在日本的战败之后 ，Japan's defeat 就是在二次大战日本战败之后呢 ，meat was scarce in the country scarce 就是 short in supply 不够非常稀少的意思。好，所以二次大战之后呢，这个日本的肉非常的稀少，那个时候什么物资都缺乏然后呢，那美国人呢，他们身为战胜国，而且那个时候他们美军有到日本去所以他们就 hand it out， 就是他们 发放 cans of spam， 就一罐一罐的这个 spam 来帮助这些日本人啊，所以这告诉我们一点历史的背景。二次大战之后，日本物资非常的缺乏啊，那个时候美军的物资非常的多啊，其实那个时候台湾也是类似的情况，台湾那时候物资也是蛮缺乏的，那很多东西都是靠美军的援助。Yeah.
So this started a food trend that continues today.
好，那这样的一件事情就开始了一个 food trend， 一个食物的趋势。好，那这个趋势呢，一直持续到今天啊。换句话说，这种把美军的食物或者这个西方的食物跟东方食物啊这样子这个混合在一起，特别在这里指的就是这样的一个午餐肉山苦瓜炒什锦。那今天大家仍然持续的这样的一个 trend。Okay,
we had 3 recipes for you yesterday, and here's the third one of the 3 today. Woolton Pie. The final dish that we'll look at today and yesterday has no roots in Asia, nor is it the result of a mix of 2 cultures. If you think about it, everything we talked about was West meets East or East meets East, Korea and Japan. But now it's going to be within one country, but it is related to a wartime period.
最后这一个食物 the final dish that we'll look at today. 今天我们要看最后这一道食物呢 has no roots in Asia. 它在亚洲没有任何的根，也就是说它跟亚洲没有任何的渊源。Nor is it the result of a mix of 2 cultures. 它也不是一个2个文化所混合的结果。A mix of 2 cultures. 那 the result of 就是什么什么的结果。那各位注意到这个 nor 的用法啊，因为 nor 把它放在这2个子句当中做连接词啊，那可是这个 nor 又是下一个子句，就是它所带领这个子句，它就在第一个字，所以它后面会造成倒装。因为 nor 这个概念啊，就是英文里面很强的字啊，否定的字，通常否定是最强的嘛，我把你的 message 否定掉了。那这么强的一个否定的字放在句首的时候，大家可以想象它会造成一些地震啊，因为它太强了，放在句首造成地震。地震的结果就是后面主词跟动词要倒装啊。那主词跟动词如果是一般动词的话，一般动词没有办法直接跟主词倒装，所以我们就要靠助动词来帮忙。那在这里呢，be意动词它的是一种特别的动词， be 意动词力量很强，好，所以 be 意动词它自己就可以跟名词倒装，可以跟主词倒装，所以这地方 it 是主词， is 是 be 意动词，所以这地方是 nor is it， 好，那就是倒装了， nor 后面先接 is 再接 it。 好，那这个倒装的概念啊，其实很简单，各位可以想象这个英文里面啊，这个主词后面接动词，这个是很正常的 word order。 那你如果改变这个 word order， 通常就2个情况，一个就是你要变成问句的时候啊，这个 I'm fine, are you okay 啊 ，are you okay 这个 are 跟 you 倒过来了嘛，这倒装它用来形成问句，这倒装第一个可能。第二个可能就像在这里我们看到的，前面那个句首放了一个否定字，很强的否定字，这个时候后面主词跟动词也要倒装，所以这地方怎么样是 nor is it， 然后才接 the result of a mix of 2 cultures。 所以这个句整个的结构就是这个 A 的第一个子句啊，某个东西 has no roots in Asia， 那这个否定的 has no roots in Asia， 所以这个时候我们就可以逗点，后面用一个 nor， 用另外一个否定的连接词来接后面这个，表示后面这个也没有，前面这个没有，前面这个否定的，后面这个也是否定的，前面的否定的是说它在亚洲没有根，后面这个否定的是它也不是2个文化交流的结果。
However, it's a pie. This pie is definitely a wartime food, and it was created out of necessity and hardship. It's not an Asian wartime food, but it is a wartime food from Britain.
Yeah, 但是呢，它的确是一个战时的食物啊。That was created， 它被创造出来是 out of necessity 啊，就是因为必要，因为有这个需要，所以被创造出来。同时是 out of hardship。同时是因为艰苦啊，日子很难过，所以才创造出来。所以 out of 后面有2个受词，一个是 necessity， 一个是 hardship。
Woolton Pie features vegetables such as potatoes, carrots, and turnips, and is cooked in a thick sauce with rolled oats. A very British dish indeed. Potatoes are a very, very popular dish throughout Europe and you can say many other countries as well. Carrots, you all know. Now, turnip, I don't care for myself, but if it's mixed in with a lot of other vegetables, I can do it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Turnips 就是无茎啊，这个
The
东西
turnips will just take over the entire dish and it will just be turnip.
Yeah.
No.
那这个我也不太喜欢啊，这个 Bruce 老师也不太喜欢。
I thought I was alone.
Yeah.
No, you're not alone in hating turnips.
Yeah, 显然也不太喜欢哈。这个刚 Bruce 老师说这个 I don't care for 哈，那个是我不喜欢的意思啊，不是说我不关心，是我不喜欢啊。你可以说 I don't care for something， 就是我不喜欢这个东西的。
It's the most polite way of saying you don't want to eat something.
哦，所以这是一种很客气的说法，很有礼貌的说法来表示说我不喜欢这个东西。
Right.
Yeah， 所以这个地方我们讲到说这个Woolton Pie features 它特色就是一些蔬菜，例如说马铃薯、胡萝卜、无茎，然后呢它 is cooked 好，它被烹饪，它煮是怎么样煮呢 ？In a thick sauce， 在一个很浓厚的酱汁里面煮，然后那跟什么一起煮呢？跟 rolled oats。啊 ，rolled 在这里是指碾平哈，这个燕麦把它碾平哈，所以 rolled 压过去啊，这样的这个燕麦，所以就经过碾平所制成的燕麦啊一起煮。
It is a nutritious vegetarian recipe introduced by Britain's Ministry of Food in 1941, and they did this when the war with Germany made meat difficult to get. So the Ministry of Food was very proactive in trying to make sure that British people got fed. And one of the ways to do it was to try to give them ways of cooking the available food in a way that was nutritious and delicious. And so they're like, this is a great meat substitute recipe.
好，所以 it is a nutritious 就是有营养的啊，一个很有营养的 vegetarian recipe 啊，这个蔬菜的一种料理。Introduced by 它是由谁所引入的？由谁所引介的呢？是由那个英国的 Ministry of Food 啊所引介的。这在1941年的时候啊，他们介绍大家吃这样的食物。好，那这个时候什么时候呢 ？When the war with Germany， 那个时候大战还没结束，那个时候跟这个德国作战呢，使得 made meat 肉啊，就是它的受词肉，然后呢 difficult to get 就是受词补语啊，使得肉这个东西呢非常难得到啊 ，made meat difficult to get.
The dish, of course, Woolton Pie, is named after Lord Woolton, who made it popular when he became the Minister of Food. That sounds like something out of Harry Potter, Minister of Food.
Oh, gosh. Britain during the war became the ultimate socialist state.
Yeah. 好，所以呢，我们看到说这个菜呢，它是以这个乌尔顿勋爵啊的名字来命名。那这样这个who 就是指这个乌尔顿勋爵呢，使这个食物受到很大的欢迎，就让这个食物很普遍啊。当他成为这个食物部部长 the Minister of Food 之后呢，就把它推广出去了。
Okay, so we have some questions here for you about yesterday and today's parts of the article. And the first one is, what is the passage mainly about?
本文主要是关于什么呢？
The answer is A, dishes or foods that were created as a result of war.
答案是 A， 因为战争而被创造出来的料理。
Number 2, which of the following is true about croissants?
关于可颂面包下列呢何者正确？
Our answer is B. They were not created in France.
答案是 B， 他们并非发明于法国。
Number 3, your friend Gina doesn't feel like eating meat today. Which of the following dishes would you recommend to her?
你的朋友吉娜今天不想吃肉，你会推荐她吃下列哪一个料理呢？
The only vegetarian dish in our list is B, Woolton Pie.
好，那唯一的素食料理就是 B， 乌尔顿派。
Number 4, our last question. According to the passage, which of the following statements is true?
根据本文，以下叙述何者正确？
The answer is C. Goya Champuru had long existed before Spam was added to the cuisine.
答案是 C 啊，山苦瓜炒什锦早在加入午餐肉之前就已经存在了。
Okay, thanks for joining us today. Join us anytime. We'll be right here